All right, we should be good to go.
Perfect. Thank you all for coming. Noreen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Would you be able to do a roll call, please?
Sure.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Becker, Commissioner Becker, Commissioner Ekstrom,
You said my name twice, right?
Yeah, she's not here.
Commissioner Karanian.
He's excused.
Okay. Chairman Payne,
Present.
Commissioner Bashand,
Here.
Commissioner Connolly,
Here.
Commissioner Dunning.
She's excused as well.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Noreen.
You're welcome.
So before we get to the public hearing, since there are 4 members seated, the applicant does have the option to wait until there's 5. So since there are only 4, you would have to get a complete 4 votes of yes to be able for that to be approved. If there's any chance of a 3-1, it will not be approved. So you do have that option. If you want a few minutes to talk it over with yourselves and think about it before we go ahead, I'm still gonna say how the meetings run, and then you could let me know how you feel after that beforehand, if you'd like. So before we begin, let me explain a little bit about how the ZBA usually runs. There's 2 parts to the meeting. The first is the public session, in which the petitioner will begin by stating their name and address and explain their petition and what their hardship is. After the petition has been heard, anyone from the public may speak and express whether they are for or against the petition. After all the public participation is heard, the public session of the meeting will be closed. During the work session, the public may stay but cannot comment. If the petitioner does stay for the work session, that's no problem. If not, they can call the building department in the morning and they will let you know what the decision is. I think that's John.
I muted it again.
Yes. What would you,
I prefer to go just because.
Okay. That's no problem. Yeah, that's no problem. I'd like to seat Michael Connolly in place of, I think it's Sharon Dunning as she's the full,
Actually, Sharon's also an alternate.
so it would be under Audra's,
Audra,
for
yeah.
Audra.
Mhm.
Do we need to vote on that one or just seat him?
You see them.
Okay, Michael Connolly is going to be seated for Audra Ekstrom this evening. If you would like to come up, state your name and address and go ahead.
Eric, maybe what I'll do is I'll go through the description and then we can go to the map after that.
Absolutely. I can
Thank
pull
you.
up anything you like.
My name's Jeff Bogorn. I live at 75 Holly Street. Lived there for 41 years. My wife Ellen, and this is a guy that designed the whole addition that we're trying to build
Okay,
on Sanson. So the reason I'm here is to get a variance to how close we are to the property line on the left. And reason being, the house was built in 1938. And Hans, if you have questions, Hans can probably explain this, but I guess the deal is it's in a zone that requires 80 feet of width, and there's only 50 because it was built so long ago. So the distance from the property line right now on the existing house is anywhere between 5 feet 6 inches and 5 feet. It's around 6 feet, between 5'6", 5'7", and probably 6 at some points. And it's got an additional 1.5 foot overhang and gutter. So what we'd like to do is, because we don't have a bathroom and a bedroom on the first floor, and we don't want to move. We'd like to live there for the remainder of our lives. We're not getting younger, so everything's fine now. But we just want to have that, just in case later on, God forbid, there's issues. So we want to build an addition that's like 16 feet 3.5 inches from the back of the house, straight back from where it is now. So it'll maintain the same distance from the property. Nothing's going to change there. And since it's only 1 story, we're not building a second level. It'll just be the 1 story. And we can't shift to the other side because that'll run into the driveway. So we have a letter from our neighbor that he was signed, Yvonne Dion, who lives on the opposite side of the property line. And he fully supports this. That should be in your package, hopefully.
I'll read it into the record. when I
Okay.
sign.
He signed it. He asked me, why would I care about this? It's not gonna change anything as far as how close your house is to the property line, and there's no impact on me. I said, well, just because it is a variance and to show you support it, hopefully you'll help us get approval for this. So that's kind of where we are. You know, we have the full plans for the addition built, but we need to get a variance. And again, we're just going straight back from where we are now. We're not infringing any closer than what we currently are. So that's the picture there. I think you have that in your package. And you'll see the gray area is the proposed addition. Okay, on the left-hand side, it's like 5'6", there may be a 5'7", but it's around there, 5.5 feet from the property line. And Stephen, who signed the letter, is on the opposite side of that property line. He lives at 71 Holy Street. So again, the gray is just going straight back with the addition, 16 3/4 feet. And then beyond that is a deck that we want to put in, is another 10 feet. So that's the deal. And if we have to move it in another 5 feet, it's just, it's not going to serve the purpose for a family room and a bathroom and a bedroom. It'll just make it really tight. So we're hoping the folks here will agree to the variance and we can move forward. That's why I don't want to wait another month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? If John has something too, if he needs to raise his hand or if he wants to speak,
Yeah,
um,
you can do that.
for the petitioner. My question is, I think it's this big site plan that you have, this one?
Yeah, that's the details.
Yes.
This one, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
that was- Yep.
What is it between the garage, the driveway and the home? It says something about possible location for stairs
Oh, and
between the driveway.
I don't
Is that something
see
that's,
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have that.
that's additional?
that's for no, that is not, that's for a basement stair because the addition is going over top of the existing bulkhead. So that consumes some of that little bit of space between the house and the driveway, the existing driveway.
Okay.
Is that a question, John?
Are you asking me, John Bashand here?
John,
Yeah.
is there any questions you'd like to have for the petitioner or anything at all with this?
Not a question. I would just, are we ready to start discussing it or I really don't have any questions right now. No.
Okay, nope, discussing it amongst us, not yet, but this is more for the petitioner and asking any questions or anything like that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bill, anything?
No,
Okay,
pretty good data here.
okay,
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
okay. I don't know if you'd like to explain it all, if you wanted to, I know you said you wanted to explain anything else, or that's it?
Well, I didn't know how deep you want to go. I know we turned in the detailed documents. We had to revise it to show this. So that's what it did.
Right, just because he did add the deck. So I just had him show the deck and the addition on the plot plan, so guys could see they're holding the building line along that property line.
Got it, okay. No, I don't,
And we did try to be conscious of the fact that we are extending it back, so everything's kept low and is as close as possible architectural.
okay,
One thought, are you able to do that access to the basement from the outside?
That's really the only location to relocate it. Technically by code, we don't have to have it,
Okay.
but he does have a convenience to the basement now that you would like to potentially keep. So when we do the new foundation, we can make part
Yeah.
of the addition
Mhm.
to get him up and out of the basement directly. But
Okay.
right now, the the door that enters. Yeah, right now there's a door that enters the house right up here, or I'm sorry, right into the kitchen.
Right.
And that goes down to the basement.
Mhm.
So this wouldn't necessarily be a requirement, but he and I, the clients, did discuss it, so I put that as an option. But I don't
Right now,
believe
it's an
that,
option, it's not a requirement.
yeah, I don't believe that encroaches in any of the potential variance setbacks.
No, it's on the opposite
Definitely
side.
not.
And that's on the other side, so.
My question to you is, how many feet are in between the house and the driveway?
And I believe it's,
If you were to have to jog it over, that's my questioning of it. Is it,
yeah, it's not very
It's
much,
not a
it's
lot.
only about 5 feet. It's
so that would be, so that
maybe
5,
even less.
that 5 feet would be enough if you had to jog that that over to meet the variance, meet the,
But then the side of the house would be on the driveway. So,
correct,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
and actually, we still wouldn't need it.
that's gotta be less than 5
Yes.
feet. It's pretty close. to the-
Yeah, if it's 5'7" left, so you would have to have 4'3" on the other side,
Approximately, yep.
4'3", and then he'd be at the 10 feet.
And he would be at the 10-foot line, or as you guys are aware, I mean, if he just puts a 4.3 foot notch there, but
Then that would be, yes,
Mhm.
got it. Okay,
Yeah, I should have measured that, before I came here. I didn't do that because it's so close.
yep. Well, it's gotta be enough for the stairs. The stairs have to be a certain width too, for the
Right,
basement.
so it has to be a minimum of 3 feet.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so. Is that a question? Maybe not. Okay. Okay, if nobody else has any questions, we can close the public hearing and,
I do have the letter to read in.
oh,
from the-
yes, if you could, please, Eric.
Yep. This is to the Town of Newington Zoning Board. My name is Yvonne J. Dion, and my wife Cheryl and I live at 71 Holly Street. I am the neighbor of Jeff and Ellen on the other side of the property line, referencing their request for a variance. I fully support their building of an addition, especially since it will be built straight back from the existing structure and will maintain the current distance from the property line. This will have no impact on myself or my property.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So good.
Yep.
All right.
Is there anyone from the public or anyone else that would like to speak in favor or against this? Even online as well?
There is somebody online, but they do not have their hand raised.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. If someone wants to make a motion to close the public hearing,
So move.
Bill, all in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Do we need the public participation now, or it's all in
No,
the same, we always did it? Okay,
yeah, I mean, you've already closed the public hearing. No one was here to speak, so.
exactly. Okay, so we'll open up the work session. I know, John, you wanted to speak of something?
So
Yeah.
No, you're welcome to stay. Yes, definitely.
You just can't participate going forward.
Yeah.
Is it 50?
Go ahead, John.
Was that for John Bashand?
Yes, that's for you.
Okay. All right, so I looked at the plans and I think I could go along with the applicant's request on the basis of a hardship for the addition of the house, but not so much for the deck. The deck seems to be more of a luxury. I don't think jogging the house over that, it looks like there is enough room to do what you had mentioned, to jog it over towards the driveway. But that would be a very awkward situation to try to configure and not only how it would look, but on how you would have the floor plan inside and everything. So I think the letter that you read into the record and the neighbor's sentiments is important, but we also do have to think about the future too. There might be a different neighbor there someday who wasn't so appreciative of it, but I do think it's important now that at least that the neighbor isn't opposing it. So again, I could go along with the application, but without the deck, or the deck should be jogged over or kept out. So we're not extending this non-conforming situation any further. That's all.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. It's disappointing.
Any? Bill, do you have any, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking to get some real good data here to explain this thing, and the proposal here doesn't extend any closer to the borderline than the whole rest of the house has been since 37 or 8, whenever it was. And the neighbor's happy. And it's going to look the same as it's been right along. I don't really see why there's a problem with the deck,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm hearing what John said though.
Okay. I understand where John's coming from, and I completely agree on that. The only thing that I worry about is that, other than the nonconformity as the house already being there, it looks like the garage is pretty non-conforming as it is as well, being only 3'11" away from the property line on the other side. And then we're adding an additional nonconformity to the residence. I'm not sure where to go. I don't know if maybe we'd consider maybe the addition, but not the deck, because that is, like John said, a luxury. But I just don't like making it more of a non-conformed house, because as John said, we don't know what the next neighbor is going to be too.
Mm.
You know, that's tough.
And just as a reminder, you guys should discuss whatever the hardship would be
That's
As-
also my
that's-
question too.
that's
What is
part of
really
the
the hardship?
requirement.
What's the
Yeah.
hardship? Are you asking me or?
No, I'm just
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
reminding them that that's a topic of discussion.
Yeah, that's my only concern. What is really the valid hardship of the meaning of a hardship is for reasonings behind making it more non-conforming.
If I may.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so again, I think on the house, I think there is a hardship, because I think jogging it at 5 feet would be very awkward and very disruptive to the floor plan. But I don't think you can make much of an argument for I mean, if it were me, I would love to have the deck in the exact spot where he has it, but I don't think we can it seems like it's going against the spirit of the variance process, to have a deck and claim that that's a hardship. So.
I get it. The only thing is, John, is that that's not technically a valid hardship of jogging it because of the architectural look, you know?
But not just the look though. I think it would be how, can you imagine the floor plan inside and how difficult that would be to do? So, but I know this is a tough one. So
It is. It is.
that's my initial theory. And I don't even know if we could split it. Eric maybe could answer that, but how would we even do that anyway? If we could we approve only part of it or take out part of it, or how would that even work?
Yes, you could. You could technically approve the addition and not the deck.
Could you approve maybe a slight jog instead of a whole 4.3 foot jog and make it a little,
You guys are the ZBA.
yeah.
I'm just the administrator.
Mhm.
Anything?
No, I kind of, when I was reading earlier, felt the same way. I could understand the hardship with not wanting to leave a long-term home, but the deck, I think, would be considered a luxury wrapped onto that. So I think that would be the biggest issue that I would see. It's already non-conforming to begin with, so I think the deck would be the only issue I can see.
Okay. Okay.
And if I might add more.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Well, part of that hardship is also the non-conforming lot itself, so, yeah, not just because it's been there for so many years, but just even if you just started today with it, it's so narrow, it doesn't meet the, it's the lot itself is non-conforming. So Not saying that that should force our hand on it, but that's just another argument on the hardship, I think.
Question for Eric, does that's not really because
Go ahead. I mean, it doesn't meet the frontage requirement of today's regulations, just like it doesn't meet the setback requirements of today's regulations. When it was built and approved, it did. That, you know, this is the conundrum that happens at times when in older neighborhoods with older houses that were built close to the property line, et cetera, and people want to expand going forward, you know, they still have to meet, you know, today's regulations. So this is what the ZBA is for.
yeah,
So at that time, Eric, it wasn't a variance that allowed it. It was just, there was no setback at all, period. There was no frontage or side yard setback.
I would believe it was probably a 5-foot side yard setback. Is my guess. I don't know what it was because the lots were put on a subdivision prior to subdivision regulations and prior to zoning.
Mhm.
The house was technically built after zoning, I believe, was approved. I think the lot sat there empty for 8 or 9 years before it was built. And it was built after zoning, and I don't know what the zoning regulations. I have old copies upstairs I have to look through.
Mhm.
thank you, John.
Yeah, do these decisions have to be made in a single meeting, or is it like with you know, conservation or TPZ, can they be extended to another meeting?
I think they can be, can't
They
they?
can be for one meeting, yes.
For one meeting,
Yeah,
if-
you've closed the public hearing, so there's no new information taken in from the public. You have to base it on what you heard here tonight.
Exactly.
In your thing,
So
so.
maybe if someone wasn't sure, maybe they would suggest that we extend it. I'm still in the same position that I stated to begin with, but maybe if someone else wasn't quite sure and needed a little more time, they could suggest that.
Well, I think you pretty well explained everything, and I can agree with what you had to say too.
All right.
So it'd be no problem for me to approve the house movement like a per the request as asked for, and not do the deck or wait for another date for that one if you want to go through something else.
Yeah, the applicant needs all 4 votes though. That's the problem. So they
Right.
need a
Correct.
unanimous decision by us. So.
Correct. Unanimous of yes. If not, then yes. Anything other than unanimous, correct. Okay.
Well,
Do we want to table it for this? Or if
No,
everyone
we
wants to, I don't feel there's a need to unless someone out of the 4 of us would like to table it.
not me.
All set,
Yeah, I'm all set.
Mike?
I just want to be clear that, you know, we are able to approve the addition without the deck.
We can do whatever we
Yeah,
want,
you can make a motion to
You can
do that.
approve a part of the plan, but not all of it. That's, okay.
Yes, sir.
If-
Yeah, they can't speak anymore, they.
Right.
I
Yeah,
have one comment that's not necessarily public. I don't know if it's relevant, but I believe decks fall under accessory structures, which I have a 5-foot setback.
If it's attached to the primary structure, it still has to meet the 10-foot side yard setbacks.
So if we don't attach it,
Potentially, that's gonna be up to building as to, you know, what's considered attached.
Yeah, to his point, he could have a shed 5 feet away, right? Right, Eric?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Detached structures, accessory
Yeah.
structures are 5 feet from any property line. There are people that do have floating decks that are 5 feet, so.
Well, that may be an option for him, so.
So if I'm understanding right, sorry if I'm speaking out of turn, I just want to make sure I'm not confused. We could build a deck, it would have to conform to the 10-foot property line distance. Is that
If-
correct, or do we have to come back for that?
if it's attached to the home, right?
Attached to the home, yes. If it's a floating deck and not attached to the primary structure,
Okay.
then it's an accessory structure and would be 5 feet from the property line.
Okay, otherwise we could attach it to the home. It would have to
Right, you just have to slide it over or make it a little not as wide. But if it wasn't attached and it met the building requirements, then we could talk about the floating deck situation.
Thank you. Just to make sure I understand.
From a zoning perspective, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
So maybe that makes it more palatable for you guys.
Okay. If there's nothing else, do we want to close the work session? If anyone wants to make a motion to close the work session, or if we want to keep it open and talk more about it, or,
Can we make the motion on the request after that?
we're gonna do that in the new business.
Okay,
Yes, so we'd have to close the work session and then we go over a few little things and then,
I'll make a motion, we close the work session.
okay, all in favor? Aye.
I,
All right,
Okay, perfect. The minutes of the previous meeting from 12/2/21. I went over them. I didn't see an issue, but I know that there were a few people here that are not here. So I don't know if we should keep that open or
I
until,
think you can probably just accept them.
We can accept-
honestly. I mean, if you
Yeah,
want
I-
to hold it. I
yeah,
think
we'll
it's
accept
fine.
the minutes of the meeting from 12/2/21.
Yep.
Do you want to go over any communications or reports?
So, I left for you guys, I know, John, you're not in the room, but I left, we're doing a text amendment for mechanicals in the side yard because we have a lot of people putting in the mini splits and air conditioners and, like this gentleman here, if they would have come before me, you know, it's gonna be, you're gonna have to get a variance, you're gonna have to move it elsewhere. So they're trying to, we all know that these units are much quieter than they were 50 years ago, et cetera. So we're trying to make some accommodation to allow that. So I believe the amendment is for, it's tied to the house and the property line, so it couldn't be any more than 10 feet from the principal structure, nor closer than 5 feet to a property line. So there's gonna be a public hearing and stuff on that through TPZ. If you guys would support that, I can just draft a memo that I can, you know, read into the public hearing at that time. If you have any comments or questions, I think this is the language they came up with, and yeah, I think it's gonna help out a lot. I think for some of these contractors and homeowners, because I think last year you guys did 3 or 4 of these very ones for just mechanicals in the side yards.
Yep.
So
So I had a question about it. I would like to, I support it completely, but I'd like to see if they could propose something about with the generators. They do click on, I think it's weekly, I think, to do that check that they do. Is there any way of they can guarantee a time like during the day, you know, instead of a night that, you know, if a neighbor is pretty close to the side, you're not hearing that generator running and their bedroom's right there.
We could certainly make that comment. I think we discussed the generator and there's a couple people are like, yeah, put that in the side or maybe not because they can be loud for the very things you're talking about. So we can certainly, I'll have that discussion and we'll see what we can do going forward with that.
Yeah, I don't see why, if it's an emergency and, you know, the power is out, no matter what, I think someone's gonna have some sort of a generator itself, if it be attached to the house or their own, which is gonna be loud. But more for the clicking on and doing that check.
Yep.
No one wants to hear that at 2 in the morning or, you know, if their house is close.
Right.
Yeah,
I'll let you go in here. I just wanted to suggest something that, you know, you cannot, most towns have sound ordinances. So much sound dBA, the sound that you can have across the property line, you can use that as a guideline, because you're usually time restricted. So before 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. So if you write that in, you can use that as a guide for your operation, because that's,
right,
because generators will, you know, they're rated for a certain amount of sound.
right. Thank you.
You can use that as a guide.
Thank you. Appreciate that. John, do you have anything for this?
yeah, I'll just weigh in something because you jogged my process on it. But so Eric, the generators and air conditioners are being lumped into the same, you know, mechanical unit category?
Yeah, they have propane tanks, mechanical equipment and generators. Yes.
So a generator and an AC unit are a big difference. Like you mentioned, those things can be cranking
Yes.
out a lot of, they're cranking out a lot of power because they got a much, you know, some of them got, well, it takes 2 horsepower for each kilowatt. So these things are usually 10 kilowatts. So you got a 20 horsepower motor running there. You know, but to Nicole's point, you know, it's almost like with the deck being attached or not, if they had a freestanding generator, you know, the portable generator, then there's no ordinance on where on the property it could be, I guess, anyway. So, you know, another kind
Well,
of
no,
tough
I
one,
said-
but yeah.
Yeah,
So I
For
agree, I agree.
generating-
Yeah, I agree. They definitely shouldn't be test running at, you know, after hours or, you know, at the wrong time. That's for sure.
gotcha.
But in general, with the AC units, I agree that, and I support it too. They shouldn't have to come for a variance for every one.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Anything for this?
No, I agree with everything.
Bill? Good?
Yep, everything's good.
All right.
That's all I have.
That's all you got? All right, let's go to the new business. Noreen, would you like to read the petition? Since I didn't do it in the beginning.
New business petition 00-22-01. Jeffrey and Ellen Bogazian are requesting a variance from section 4.5, table A, to reduce the required 10-foot side yard setback to 5.6 feet.
Thank you, Noreen.
You're welcome.
You ready for a motion?
At this time, if someone would like to make a motion, yes, definitely.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for the house proper, with the exception of the deck.
Okay.
I would
Any
second that.
other? John, you're seconding that?
Yeah,
Okay. Noreen, would you like to do a roll call to see what it would be for voting so we can have it down exactly? Is
Muted.
Noreen,
Muted.
I don't know.
She's coming.
Okay.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Commissioner Bechter,
Yes?
Chairman Payne,
Yes.
Commissioner Bashand,
yes,
Commissioner Conley.
Yes.
Thank you, Noreen.
We have a unanimous. All right.
Thank you. So it's been unanimously passed for the addition, just not the deck.
Thank you for getting us on the agenda, and I do understand the difference between the deck and the house. So although it may not be the perfect outcome I was hoping for, I do understand how you guys came to that decision, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here.
All right, bye now.
Have a good night.
Any old business?
Old business.
All right.
That I remember.
Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Nicole,
Yeah, John.
Vote for officer.
you know, it's been a while since we lost one of our members and
We already do that.
and we never really addressed that.
No, we
should-
didn't.
We should probably at least on the record address it. And I was even thinking, you know, and I don't know if that's proper or if it's, you know, anything they normally do, but you know, I think we should somehow write a letter to the family or, you know, just to acknowledge her service and our, you know, our sadness of the loss. I didn't know her very well, but I know she was a member for a while here.
Yes, she was. And she was hoping one day to come back actually to be present during COVID too, to see everyone. And I do think that actually that's a great idea, John.
And I should say
maybe
her
we
name
can-
is, it is Judy Igelski, right? That's her proper name.
Yes, yes, it
Yeah.
is. And she served many, do you know how many years, Judy?
I mean, between her and John, they probably had, 40, 50 years of service
Yeah.
on local boards.
She served this board and probably other boards for a very long time, and we appreciated everything that she did, and she was a great person. But yes, I'm happy to come up with something, or if someone wants to help me come up with something, so we can, write it from the commission itself.
Even just a brief letter of acknowledgement or something. When John left the Conservation Commission, he got nothing. I mean, he didn't ask for anything, but I thought we should recognize it at the time, but the town manager at the time, Ms. Lane, did not, she thought it was set a bad precedent or something. I'm like, the guy
Okay.
dedicated decades of
correct.
their time, of his time and, you know,
Mhm.
Not that people who do that are looking for recognition, but I think that it wouldn't hurt it to give them some.
That's no problem at all, John. I think that's a good idea, and I think at our next meeting, we should have something ready to do that. Would that work for you?
Yeah.
Because I don't
I mean,
think
I'm not-
we're not ready for it right this second.
No. I'm not much of one to compose letters, but someone could probably come up with something pretty simple.
Yeah, no problem. And then, if anyone has anything, I'd love to get all the members involved in it too. If they'd like to put something into it as well or say something. But we can try to come up with something and then we can send out an email and go from there of what we want to say and make sure everyone's okay with it before we put it right out there for the next meeting.
Okay, great.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Anything else?
Mhm.
Eric, anything else?
I have nothing.
All right. Sounds good. I'll make an motion to adjourn the meeting this evening.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you
Aye.
very much. Thanks, John. Thanks, Noreen, for coming. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, Nicole, you can continue to be the chair.